Hello there, and welcome to another exciting episode of Dead Reflections Podcast. This is episode 10, and it's a celebration. We've made it to 10 episodes.
We've done it. Congratulations, dudes.
We are your hosts,
Caleb.
Kolby.
and I'm your boy Josh, aka Drifter Voyages. And thank you guys so much for being here. We are live streaming this episode, because why the fuck not?
Because it's a special
Because
occasion.
it's a party! What are we doing? Why is it special? What are we doing?
This is the 10th episode, and we are going to do a spirit box live on Twitch after we end the episode.
Yeah. Because imagine being listening to a podcast, trying to listen to that. That would be like
It'd be real fun. It'd be a little rough.
So we drew phone calls, right?
Yes, we drew phone calls last episode from Stephen Alexander, and I for sure have one story. I think we all kind of have stories related around it. Yours is spirit box related, if I remember right, Colby?
No.
Oh, you changed it up. That's right. I think you
Ooh,
initially
he's
were looking
keeping
for
you
it.
on your
I was
toes.
initially looking for a spirit box story, but I couldn't really find anything.
A little hard, okay.
That's
my
crazy.
story is radio related.
Okay.
Radio.
It's in the realm of audio and
Yeah.
I mean,
So that's what we're kind of going for.
I got to playing with the spirit box that we ordered for this,
Yeah.
and it makes it all that more scary
Gotcha.
when you dive that deep.
Nice. Josh, can you give us a little preface of your story?
Mine I wrote, and it's really sad.
Okay.
It's a sad boy story with a little bit of swoops.
I'm excited. Can you also tell me what you have on merch-wise?
Yes. Okay, so we're going to the merch segment. Segue. I'm wearing a shirt from Glytch. The org that I'm a part of, Spectre Esports, we are affiliated with Glytch Energy. It's basically like a... it's a supplement, I guess is the right word. But kind of like G Fuel and things like that. I actually really like Glytch Energy. It's really good. I highly recommend the Tropic Thunder flavor. It's awesome. We are partnered with them. That's right. Let me rephrase that. Partnered, not affiliated. But yeah, so I'm rocking the Glytch Energy t-shirt, and then I've got the Gentendo from Bastion. That's I guess the band merch that I'm rocking. What about you, Kolby? What you got?
I'm wearing the same Power Trip shirt from first episode.
It's been 10 episodes. It's okay.
It has been 10.
It's
We only
fine.
have so many shirts.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a band. I'm wearing Screwston FC. We went to a Dynamo game today. So Screwston is a little club out of Houston that's combining the hip-hop music of DJ Screw and the Houston soccer culture. So it's pretty
That's
cool little thing
cool.
going on.
And we're not going to talk about the Dynamo game.
No, we won't. We won't talk about that. We'll move right on to the spooky, scary stories.
Scary stories. So yeah, like I said, my story is about a dude who bought a radio, and
He bought it. He didn't steal it.
he got a little more than what he was looking for.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, are y'all ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Candles.
Oh yeah, we need like the
fucking
candle.
Light the
candle.
candles, please.
All right. All of them that are still up?
Why not? It's the 10th episode. I'm feeling
Right,
wild.
yeah, fucking, we're fucking
Feeling
we're
wacky
feeling
today.
crazy right now.
But yeah, so my story is called Dark Radio. And it's by Jason Mail. Mel, it's Mehl. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. Mahale. I don't know. Mail. I don't know. I gotta get all the stinkers in. The general span for FM radio stations usually fall in the range of 79 hertz to 108 hertz. AM stations generally fall in the range of 530 hertz and 1750. With these frequencies, 99.9% of audible radio lives. In these parameters, you will find talk radio, pop, rock, rap, country, etc. Basically everything you generally associate with radio. Outside these areas were military stations used during the wars, and some rogue stations that have all been since shut down or discontinued.
Those pirate radio stations, I've always wanted to listen to one of those.
Those areas are known as dark frequencies or dark radio.
That's metal as fuck.
No one with specialized radios have heard anything on dark radio in years. Until now. One day a man came home from the flea market with a highly sensitive military-grade frequency radio. His wife thought it was a worthless piece of crap, but the husband, being a huge history buff, thought it was a wise investment. He had hoped to find an active military station or one that was set up on a constant loop broadcasting Soviet-era information or war propaganda.
That'd be so cool to find that.
He would spend hours a day scanning for stations and hoping he could find something out there that would make his purchase worthwhile. He would pick one precise frequency at a time and scan the entire range for any activity. Several days went by, digging through static, and he had nothing to show for it, until the day he finally heard something. It was very grainy at first. He tried to fine-tune it as best as possible, but he was barely able to make out what was being said. He could hear 2 words, but he was unable to understand them. He went out the next day and bought a sound recorder. When he turned on the radio, he was shocked how much clearer the signal came in. It was still grainy, but he could make out some of it. In a low groan, he heard, "We have."
We have. We have. We have.
We have. We have what?
We have.
The man thought to himself.
We
The
have.
possibilities were endless. The man noticed that the words kept repeating on a loop. He had found exactly what he was looking for in an old abandoned loop station. He turned on the recorder and tried to record the sound as best as he could.
We have.
The next day, he was going to take it to a studio and see if they could find out what was exactly being said.
We have.
The man barely got any sleep that night.
It's creepy as shit, dude.
He was filled with excitement about making such a historical discovery and the world-changing effect it could possibly have. He figured it would be best not to tell his wife about the discovery until he knew for sure what it was. Before he left his house that morning, he turned on the radio again. He set the recorder down when he realized he wouldn't need it. The station was now a lot clearer, with minimal static. It was as if the station was reaching out to his radio. We have 21.
We have 21.
Followed by the sound of 2
We
bells,
have 21.
one high-pitched and one low.
We have 21.
I don't like that. The bells.
We have
I don't like
21.
that.
The man sat in awe, listening to the loop over
We
and
have
over again.
21.
We have 21.
We have 21.
We have 21.
We have 21.
He would hear the
We
2
have
bells
21.
in between each repeating phrase. 21,
We have
is that
21.
a code for something? Do they have 21 objects
We
of
have
some sort?
21.
He was perplexed.
We have 21. We have 21.
The next day, excuse me, he spent the day doing research, but he ended up with nothing. No mention of the phrase, "We have 21," played any significance in history. He waited a day, hoping that the signal would improve in case there was something he couldn't hear yet. When he turned on the radio the next day, he was disappointed to hear the same voice repeating the same phrase over and over, with the 2 bells in between. Although something seemed different. It took him a few minutes to realize it, but a faint clicking was heard in the background.
We have 21.
It didn't take him long to realize that it was Morse code.
Yeah.
He spent an hour on the computer translating it from scratch and was thrilled to see that it spelled out coordinates.
We have 21. 21.
After driving down a few side roads, using his GPS, he was able to find the location. It was about an hour or two drive from where he was. After driving down a few side roads and one really long deep into the woods, he'd finally reached his destination. It was a large clearing with a massive cube-shaped building in the center. It must have been at least 4 stories tall. All 4 sides were gray, with no marking on the outside as to what the building even was or what it was used for. He walked around the entire perimeter of the building and found the only door available. The door was surprisingly unlocked. He walked into the building and saw a giant empty room dimly lit by dusty rooftop windows with a single wooden desk and a chair in the middle. The place seemed like a giant airplane hangar from the inside. He approached the table and saw a small desk lamp illuminating radio broadcasting equipment, complete with a transmitter and a microphone. It was emitting a deep, ominous groaning noise. This makes no sense. There's no one here. What does that sound from? He listened to the groan and noticed that when changing sound, volume, and length, it didn't take him long to realize that it was actually saying, "We have 21," extremely slowly. He listened for several minutes until the groaning voice stopped after completing the phrase. None of this made any sense to him. Who was saying this? There's no one here. Why is it sounding so slow? Why is it now silent and not repeating? And where are the... At that moment, 2 deafening loud bells rang throughout the room. They didn't sound like small bells anymore. They sounded like massive church bells being struck with a sledgehammer just inches above his head. He covered his ears and collapsed to the ground. When the sound finally stopped, he uncovered his ears. He looked around the building again. He noticed it was significantly darker than before. The windows on the roof were no more. There was no door, nor was there ever a sign of one existing. The lamp on the desk was still lit, and all the broadcasting equipment was still there. He was now surrounded by silence and darkness. Curiosity eventually got the best of his wife later on that day. She turned on her husband's radio, clear as day, as if she were standing right there in the room with her. And she heard his voice. "We have 22. It was silent for a brief moment. Then, static.
Yo. Dude, that was pretty creepy. I like that a lot.
Before we get into the story, just the timing, of some of the things, like in between the bells, it was very well laid out.
Yeah, dude,
Thank you. I tried.
That was awesome.
So, what happened to him?
So I think what it was is this. So whatever entity is in control of like getting that it's like them capturing people.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it gave me like Archive 81 kind of vibes a little bit.
Yeah. A little bit of Lost for me.
Yeah. It just like that was, man. Where'd you get that?
That's on Creepypasta.
It's
Creepypasta? Jason Mel.
Hell yeah, dude. Good job. That was pretty neat. I don't know what it is about the like aspect of like the 81 Archive 81 like vibe with the military and the government.
It's,
like that.
It's
that
like
shit,
so much cover up. Like you
so
feel like
interesting
there's
to
nothing can be trusted is the idea. Yeah.
Because you know that they're over there tapping into crazy shit. Like, you know, like, I mean, like, come on. The freaking, what was it? Hitler had an entire task force dedicated to that. And the only difference was he was public about it. Our government probably just doesn't talk about the shit. Like, they're just like, no, we don't do that. Yeah. But man, that was a good story. All right.
That was a good one.
We will be right back after this brief sponsor break.
Ha,
We're getting it down. Okay, that was good. Yeah.
All right.
Who's first? Is it you or me?
I have the bone.
So that means,
That means I go last.
Ah, why are you so bummed about it?
No, I'm not bummed. I'm excited to hear yours.
Okay, so, all right. Well, now I'm like nervous because I just realized that I have to read this now. Okay, so I wrote mine today.
Okay.
And,
how it goes.
It's more of like I read it to Vex and was like, hey, like, what do you think about it? She's like, it's kind of sad.
That's okay.
And I was like, oh
It's
shit,
kinda
that's not what I
depressing.
was going for. But like, I will say that I did pull some things from my own life to like incorporate into this
That's
story.
the best way to write it.
Yeah, and I changed like some things and whatnot, and made it extravagant and all
Yeah.
that. But yeah. So this is my story. It's called Dead Call. Losing someone is never easy, especially when you and that person are so close. Back in 2010, I lost my grandmother. She was my best friend. I would tell her everything. I can't keep count of how many afternoons we would sit at her dining room table, and I would tell her about what was going on in my life. She would just sit, smile, and listen. Always laugh at the funny moments and give wise advice at the hard ones. I remember the phone call from my mother saying she was gone, how my knees buckled in and all sound faded out. A piece of my heart died that day with her. After a few months, I had started to be okay. I started to go back to living my life as a young woman, working, paying bills, and learning what it means to be an adult. Then, one day, my phone started to ring and the caller ID brought me to tears. Grandma popped up on the screen as the high-pitched telephone ring echoed out into the air. It caught me so off guard. I felt my heart drop into the pit of my stomach for a second. Then I felt rage because I thought, who would be that asshole who would decide to use her number to mess with me? I kept her number in my phone so that I could call her and listen to her answering machine, hear her old and sweet voice when I had moments of missing her so much. Cut that. She never owned a cell phone. She only had a landline, and that line was still active at her home. The phone still worked, but her house was empty. I stared at the screen for a moment and then answered with an aggressive yet confused, "Hello?" Static and what sounded like heavy breathing was all I could hear on the other end. The breathing, though, it sounded familiar. "Hello," I said again, and in response the response I got still sends chills down my spine to this very day. "Jessica?" I dropped my phone from my ear in shock. That was my grandmother's voice, and she just said my name. How can this be? I thought in that moment, and quickly picked up the phone and, tried and talked to her. But by the time I had, the call had failed. I tried for hours calling the number back. Each time I got her sweet voice machine. I even left a voicemail, telling whomever came by to listen about what had happened. After finishing my shift that day and just the amount of emotions I felt, I was exhausted. So I made it back home, took a shower, and passed out. Next, I can remember my dream from that night so vividly. I walked through the door to my grandmother's kitchen. I walked past the police officer on the scene. My uncle asked me if I would like to see her one last time. God, I wish I hadn't. She lay there with dried blood staining the side of her mouth, her hands reaching for the phone beside her bed. Her eyes open, her eyes staring at the ceiling, and then they dart towards me.
Oh my God.
Bitch, what?
I shot up, sweating and breathing so heavy from the nightmare. Then my phone rings. It's her again. I answer it so fast. Grandma, are you there?" I ask. And then in the most aggressive and evil tone I can think anyone or anything could muster, they say, "Yes, she is." And I hear the most blood-curdling scream I have ever heard in my life after that response. I couldn't take it. I threw my phone away from me and let the call die. The energy that I felt from that voice was, I don't know how else to describe it other than evil. I don't think that was my grandmother that I heard. I don't think that was her phone. I don't think that her phone was calling me. I think that whatever that thing was, it was using her, mimicking her. to get to me. I blocked my grandmother's number after that. We ended up selling the house, so I wouldn't be able to call it anymore anyways. I think about her all the time, Mr. Sweet Smile and the talks we had. Even though I try my hardest to not think about it, I also remember the phone calls and that dream too. I don't think I'll ever forget them. Yesterday, after so many years had passed, I got a phone call. It was from a private number. I usually never answer those calls, but for some reason I felt compelled. Hello? I said. Jessica? My grandmother replied.
That was awful. I got really hot. Did y'all get hot?
I mean, I feel hot right now.
I had like a little flash of heat. Like, that was bad.
Yeah.
That's probably the burning flesh from the sun today.
It could be.
All of the burns.
That
all
was
of
a
the burning
very
flesh.
Okay, I don't want to ask too much about how you wrote the story. How did you get calls?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, I did not. The part
Just
of the
changed up the names.
the part of the story
everyone.
that is from me is like my mom calling and how I felt. Like actually Lost Thoughts or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Song Lost Thoughts is
Yeah.
kind of explaining how I felt on that.
That's why you got both of us. Like, you said, I was a young girl, and we were like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because it
Wait a
was so
minute.
close to your actual story, so
Yeah.
we were like, oh.
And then the dream. I've had that dream where I walk
Oh, where you
through the
see-
house and I go through like what like it's literally like verbatim how I went
eyes
through
too?
the house. No, not the eyes.
Oh, thank God.
And then like that's like the thing is when I just I remember whenever I went in there to see her, like just how like she, you know, her hand, like she was, you know, it was
Yeah,
pretty
you don't
intense.
need to explain it.
And I had that nightmare
Yeah.
for like a month straight,
That's
where I would
crazy.
go through the house, and then when I'd get to her and like kind of survey the scene, when I'd get to her eyes, they were looking up, and then she would like look, she would glance down and look at me, and then I would wake up every time with the sweating, the
That's
heavy breathing, the
So scary.
freak out. Yeah.
So all the research I did for my stories, I didn't see a single one that had to do with family member calling, like a past
Really,
relative.
you would think that would be
Yeah.
like a normal.
Most of it was
almost
like just
thing.
like a no caller ID and somebody random answers or whatever.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen like a recent passing and then that person calling or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Like
I-
they would have had to like register with like the whatever phone company their name as grandma to
Yeah.
like show up
Well,
on call ID.
Well,
caller
true.
ID.
Well, this was so like basically how it was you know, you have their number saved in your phone,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and she had the grandma had a landline but didn't have a cell phone, but
Exactly.
you know she's calling your cell phone, so yeah,
okay.
it pops up as grandma.
Gotcha.
And then I made sure to say like I saved the number and didn't delete it because you know I wanted to call and hear
Yeah.
a voicemail, like because that like you know,
Yeah.
is a way to. Yeah, it's pretty sad in a way, but
It made for a good story. Anything that pulls out the emotion like that, that's good.
Yeah.
Makes for a good one.
well, thank you.
You said mimics and then looked at me, you scumbag.
You fuck.
So you said mimic, and then right after that you said, I missed her sweet smile. And
Oh, I didn't even think about
Ooh.
the smiling man.
but
thing.
no. It wasn't the fact that you said smile. It sounded like you said Mr. Sweet Smile.
Mr. Sweet Smile.
And that scares
Mr.
me.
Sweet Smile.
That terrified me. That's
okay,
a
we
little
need
chill.
we should work together and write a
Write
story
a
called Mr. Sweet Smile.
Oh no.
That sounds so terrifying.
It's so bad.
Yo, I'm down.
Oh man,
Well, yeah. So that was my story.
That
You
was a
ready
good
to
one.
do yours?
I am ready. Are we moving too fast? I feel
I
like
don't
we're
know.
burning
We're
through.
we're at
We
we're
are
at
moving
30
fast,
minutes. We're
but-
doing pretty good.
Mine's not too long, so this might be a little bit of a short one. We can talk.
That's okay.
Not every episode's gonna be the
Yeah,
same.
I mean,
That's
our
true, this
last
is true.
episode that when we did the Ouija board, that technically the episode part was only about like we hit an hour barely. So I think we'll be just fine, and we'll have our little banter and then pulling the thing and all that. So we should be good.
Gotcha. So the name of my story is I'm kidding. I don't have a name. This is the first part of my story or collection of stories is going to be stuff that I found on Reddit, and everything that I talk about is going to be on r/askreddit. So it's like the most universal Reddit page.
Okay.
So we're not going to link each individual one because there's
Yeah.
so many. You can go through and find these stories along with like the other 50,000 that I
Yeah.
tried to skim
Shout out
through.
to the ones that Caleb liked and picked.
Yeah, so in my opinion, this goes from least creepy to continually creepier, and then finally ending with my personal phone call story.
Which is
For
very
me,
creepy.
I don't know. I don't think I've told you, have I?
no.
You've
Okay,
told
this will be
me.
yeah. So we'll start with the again. It's kind of
and fuck that. 'Cause
yeah. It's very weird. Okay, so again, we don't have a name for this story, but we'll start with this first one. It's a Reddit poster. It says that turning my phone on after going to the cinema. The thing starts ringing almost as soon as I press the button. As the screen lights up, I notice that the number calling me is actually my own number. I answered, nothing but silence, by a hang-up, and then followed by a hang-up tone. It was really freaky. And I know you had mentioned that happened.
I had that happen, but I was too scared to answer.
That's why I added it. Okay, so... It was 3 p.m. and I was alone at my house. My parents were out of town to visit my relatives. The phone rang and I picked it up. After a long pause, I heard, "I know." And then it hung up. That's the end of that one.
What?
What the fuck? That's fucking some Skyrim shit.
So,
we know.
Exactly. So let me
I
preface
feel
a
like
little bit
that's
too.
happened like multiple times. Though.
Yeah. So a lot of these stories come from an older generation where it was landline.
Yeah.
It was the house phone. And
okay.
so not a lot of it is like your cell phone getting a number, a random call. What about that? I don't know. Like why that's creepier to me.
Well, yeah, like, would you rather do a normal, like, phone prank or that?
So, for me personally, it would terrify me if our phone house went off because it hasn't gone off in, like, months. Like, it never gets rang. So, like, even we'll get, like...
Just it going off would be
yeah,
terrifying.
it's like, yeah, because we have, like, a couple through the house, so they all kind of go off at once. You can hear it from wherever you're at, you know?
They're all linked together.
And, yeah, no, that would that
man.
wouldn't be good. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. I live in the middle of practically nowhere, about a 15-minute drive from anywhere. When I was in the 5th grade, my parents were at work. I was at home from school watching TV. I get a call from an older guy saying that I had a really nice blue shirt on. I asked how he knew, and he laughed. I locked my doors to my house, closed the curtains, and the guy was laughing. I hadn't hung up my phone yet, and I was freaking out. The guy asked where my parents were, and I said that my dad was taking a shower. He replies with a chuckle, "Sure." I hang up the phone, call my parents, told them about it. They called the police, offered to come talk to me about it. They patrolled our neighborhood for hours and days. It was seriously horrifying.
What the fuck?
This is what ruins me about these, is that it's a collection of multiple stories and they don't have any conclusion. Like they don't say like we found a stalker in that situation.
Oh man.
I was about 12, living in Baker City, Oregon.
God, fuck Baker City. I don't know.
JK.
There was a series of seemingly random house fires popping up all over the town this week. I was at the neighbor's house. She was a nice lady and used to hang out with us as kids. Anyways, we were listening to some new music, Rancid, I think.
Nice.
And out of nowhere, she stops the music and says, "Hey, check this out. Somebody left a message on my machine today." Presses play on the answering machine. A voice comes out of the answering machine that sounds unlike anything I've heard before. It was shrill, high-pitched, kind of like Doom from Roger Rabbit. Also, Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I start fires.
Oh, shit.
And that was it.
That's it.
Oh,
Gave me goosebumps, and it was a little harder to sleep over the next few nights.
No, sir. That would fuck me up.
They never caught the arsonist.
Oh, that one got me.
That had to have been in the 90s because you said new and Rancid and then
new Rancid answering machine. Yeah, that's what I said. There's a lot of these. So this is my last Reddit story, and it's also older. So they started with not mine, as in not my story, but my dad's story.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 80s, he was a skater kid in his 20s. He and a buddy, our uncle, family friend, that he grew up with, were hanging out around the house that my dad was renting at the time. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning when the two of them were just relaxing when the old rotary phone starts suddenly ringing. Now, my dad's buddy was a jumpy guy. He'd accompanied my dad to some sort of crazy fair, and they had a lot of psychics there, palm readers and stuff like that. He went in for a reading. Big mistake. He got so freaked out that my dad had to take him home because he was having a borderline panic attack. He was so nervous. And the answering of that... He was always a nervous sort of guy, and answering that phone that night didn't make it any better. According to my dad, the conversation went something like this. "Friend. Hello?" His face looks normal, and there's a pause. Yeah, this is him. No. Silent for a moment, he looks freaked out. What the fuck? My dad coaxed some details out of him and figured out that what he had heard sounded like some old lady's voice on the other end. The actual conversation from the friend's side sounded something like this. Hello? Is my dad's name there? Yeah. And you are my dad's name? Yeah, this is him. Starts to look confused and startled. Do you know where I am? No. Silent moment, looks freaked out. I'm in the basement. What the fuck?
Yeah.
The two of them were holed up in the living room all night, totally freaked out. Now, my dad had considered it might have been a friend of theirs screwing with them, but a lot of weird things happened in that house, and had been connected to it with an already old lady before. When it comes to ghosts and paranormal, my dad has always been skeptic, and living in that house changed his mind. He's told us a few stories about that place, but this one was perhaps my favorite. That's the last of the Reddit stories.
Dude. So, okay, quick side note.
Yeah.
I have something to tell y'all about with an old rotary phone that I saw on YouTube after we
I was about to say, you're knocking it even a further step back with the fucking
Yeah, it was
rotary phone.
80s. And I really liked how they wrote that, so that the initial phone call you could hear from the dad's perspective about, hey, yeah, this is him.
And then they go in.
What are you talking about? No. And then freaking out, and then hearing what she was saying to him, it got me pretty good.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so this is my personal story. I was at work, taking pictures of a vehicle, listening to music when I got a call from my now ex-girlfriend. She would call fairly often as both of our jobs allowed for it. We would just talk about whatever we were doing or plans for the weekend, whatever was on our minds. This call was not like that at all, though. This one was very short, 30 seconds, maybe, and that's a stretch. I have my AirPods in when I get the phone call. And for those that don't know, AirPods will pause whatever you're listening to read your notifications, then resume your music.
Mm-hmm.
Phone buzzes. My music pauses. Phone call from my girlfriend's name. Answer it.
Wait, hold up.
Camera,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
most likely. I click the button on my AirPod to accept the phone call, and it's silent for a few seconds. Hey, what's up? Hey, you okay? Hello? The closest thing that I can think of is that it's almost like a Zoom call with a bad connection. A voice that sounded much like my girlfriend's came across, but robotic and twisted. And she said, "Are you here? Are you there? Caleb? Where are you?" Her voice now fading away, even more robotic and staticky and disembodied, and sounding like a panicked cry. "Caleb." Phone call drops. In a panic, I rushed to call her right back. Something was wrong or she needed my help. After a few rings, she picks up and answers. "Hey, what are you up to?" I responded, "Nothing right now. Are you okay? What was that about?" "You called me."
Oh.
No. A few seconds ago, you called me, and I answered. It was weird. What was that? What was that about? "Oh, I didn't call you. Are you okay?" The rest of the phone call went normally, but I was still never able to explain why I got that call.
Dude.
So it would be explainable, but she said your name
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
so are y'all
like
familiar with?
coherent, like where are you?
Yes, it was.
Like-
It was. Are you here? Are you here? Are you there? Caleb, where are you? And then almost like she was like cry, like I don't know how to explain it.
Like she was in a panic. You
Like,
could tell that
like
she was
needed
scared.
help, yeah.
Yeah, and then you called her and she was perfectly fine.
Yeah, nothing wrong. And do y'all know what I mean about the
God,
Zoom
the
calls?
piano makes this so much worse.
The Zoom call noises. Are you familiar with
Yeah.
that? Like Zoom calls
yeah,
where
yeah.
it'll be
I'm
like
all too familiar with
yeah.
it, sir.
So you might be able to better like explain, but
yeah,
it's,
no,
so-
I get what you're
Guys,
trying to say.
what's happening?
What are you talking about?
Look at the computer screen.
What?
Look at how distorted it is.
That's the filter, I think.
Yeah, that's your webcam. my
No,
dude.
they're seeing it too. They're saying that it's all fucked up.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea. Has it been like that the whole time?
What
No.
if I do this? Is it still fucked up?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we look posterized.
I have no idea.
That's weird, dude.
Wait till it switches to
It also
Josh.
Oh, you want me to look?
it also just kind of looks like the filter.
No,
Also-
see, those cameras look fine. It's just the webcam.
We'll probably cut this out, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut that.
But yeah, no, that's weird. We've already had some weird shit. No, this looks fine.
Yeah,
It's
so
just-
it's your webcam that looks weird.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, did you?
You saw what I did.
It looked fine earlier,
have
but they're
no
saying
idea.
that it lasted the whole episode. I don't know. All right. Well, sound speed. But the main
Creepy
screen looks like
filter.
there's an exposure issue. Interesting.
I'm stuck.
Yeah,
It's-
it just looks
It's
super.
because
intense.
we have 2 DSLRs and a webcam.
Yeah, but it's never had this problem before, so obviously something went wrong. But it might just be a bad connection or something. When we end the podcast and switch over to doing just the live stream, we'll unplug it and see. It's fine. It's fine. Continue.
All right, now sound speed.
So, anyways,
All right, let me do this actually.
oh, okay. So I have a story.
But a rotary phone.
Yeah, about a rotary phone. So you remember how I told you when we talked about the whole thing at the end, where we talk about what was something that scared you, went down the rabbit hole, blah blah blah. Well, so I went down the rabbit hole. So I was watching that guy that I showed you with the videos, and he was watching this one. So these kids, they would go and they would break into, like, oh, you know what I'm talking about,
I
don't
watched
you?
it.
Dude. So for all the listeners, so
Wait,
these
you
kids.
know it, yeah.
You haven't watched it?
No.
Okay, so, and for Kolby. So these kids, they go in and they take an old school rotary phone off of a wall in, like, was it a
Abandoned school.
Yeah. And so he puts it, the guy who took it, he puts it on his wall as like just like a prop, for
Yeah.
like wall decoration. And he has cameras set up all over his house for some reason. I think it's like because they play pranks on each other a lot or something like that. I don't remember exactly. They explained it though. And there was a camera for his living room area, and they're all in there chilling. Like, it's like him and like 5 or 6 other
Yeah, like a
people
little
just
party.
hanging out. Yeah. And all of a sudden, that phone starts ringing. It's not plugged in. It's not connected. Anything. They literally all stop and they're just staring at it. And then doesn't he pick it up and he's
So
like,
that's the thing is like,
Yeah.
so if the first time it rings, it like goes bring, and
Yeah.
they like look at it, bring.
Yeah.
She like picks it up, hello,
Yeah.
and then the dude that owns the apartment is like, did that just go off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they all started freaking out.
They
I
grab a
think-
camera and they show
I
that
think
it's
I
not
have seen
plugged
this.
in or anything.
Yeah.
So then it gets
Bring.
worse. So after that, they get freaked out and they decide to take it back to where they found
They
it.
didn't like try opening it.
They
No, they
did.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
did
tried to
open
see
it
if
to
there
look
was
for
mech-
see if there was any kind of like mechanism that went
Yeah,
off.
like a wind-up
Yeah.
mechanism or whatever.
Better.
But
yeah.
so yeah, they go back and they go to bring it back.
So no one answered though.
No, no
don't
one
believe
answered
so.
on the other
Okay.
one. They go to bring it back and
That-
shit.
That makes it a little better though.
Okay.
If someone answered, then I'd shit bricks.
No, but so it gets worse. They video themselves going and bringing it back to like take it back to where they find it, and they literally go back to the exact point and they put it back. And does it ring? I know they hear a bunch of shit.
They hear a ring in another room.
Yeah, they hear a ring in another room. Another phone goes off in an abandoned school that has no power, no nothing at all. But yeah, no, it's fucking freaky, and I highly recommend people going and checking it out. I can't remember what his name is.
Casper something.
Casper Site?
I think
Casper
if
side
you-
of
Yeah,
right.
If you just
Casper
look up
Site. Go check him out on YouTube.
rotary phone going off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Probably
his
find it.
reaction to it is
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, I just had to say, after you said rotary phone, that's all I could think about was that.
Oh,
So
Was that,
one thing
episode?
we forgot to do was start off with saying between this moment and the last episode, has anything creepy happened?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I haven't had
yeah.
anything.
I was gonna save that to the end.
Oh, we're doing
but
it at the end?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can do
okay.
it now.
Now is the perfect time.
Oh.
But yeah, no. Like, basically, have you been scared since last episode?
And when I think about it, I don't think so.
I know for
think
sure
I've
I
had
haven't
some-
because we have been working so much that I don't have time to get scared.
True. That's very true. Yeah. No, but yeah, same for me. I haven't really had time to be scared either. I do
I'm
get
trying to think
vibes
of
a
it.
lot now, though. I've noticed that. I don't know if it's just us opening up ourselves or what.
You get vibes, bro.
Yeah, like vibes, just like
I gamed in here last night. Like I was playing some games and stuff, and I was cool.
like for me, it's like a fleeting moment where I just like I'll just be like, ugh. And
Yeah.
then like I might look behind me, but like it's never like I'm terrified. It's just like I don't know. I feel a little weird and uncomfortable right at this moment, and then I'll acknowledge it and then I'll move on. But other than that, yeah. What about you?
I have nothing that comes to mind immediately.
you telling me we all had a sane week?
A sane
Kind of.
Same week.
Slightly overworked, but that's okay.
I mean, yeah, no.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
Well, let's prompt ourselves with something.
So
The last little
I
guy
actually
out of
have
Stephen
something
Alexander.
that I wanted to add to that.
Oh.
Add to Stephen Alexander.
Okay.
I was gonna propose the idea.
Oh, without even drawing?
Without even drawing.
Oh, okay.
Because we got a request.
A request. We got a request. Our first request.
Yeah.
What?
So let me see.
That's
here.
cool. Episode 10 celebration. We get our first request.
I think.
I wish we had the
Excuse me
time
one
to
second.
for my story to like for Kolby, and I had to sit down and record the audio because I would have loved to do that to
Oh,
try to
dude,
give you
hell
the
yeah.
cues for
we
it.
all need to get an Elgato and
I
just
know.
be able
We
to
looked it up. It will read separately, so we
Really?
could we could each have our own if we wanted to in the future.
Oh, dude,
So-
that would be sick.
So I got a message saying, "Are y'all thinking about doing a Dogman episode
Oh, I've
in
heard
the
of the
future?"
Dogman.
See, I've never
I
heard.
don't know what that is.
I think Lore did a thing on the Dogman.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I basically said I don't know what that is, but if it's interesting,
Yeah,
we'll
most
check it
definitely.
out.
I'd be down.
And,
I'd be down.
and he basically said it's just a werewolf spin-off kind of.
So it's a cryptid.
Yeah, it's a cryptid.
sorts. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well,
And so I was just gonna ask y'all if y'all wanted to one of us do a story about that. I'd be down to
yeah.
do a
so,
story.
Yeah, I'm down for us to do one on that and then one on what's in here. That way we clear it out and we can start over
Okay.
with the.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So there's only one left, so just go ahead and pick that guy out and
All right.
see
you
what
wanna,
we got.
give shout outs and everything?
Oh, shout outs to who we got. We got Terraform Podcast. We got Dark Hour Podcast. Oh, man, we got a lot of people.
And the person who messaged me about that said that there's been a lot of stories he's heard from like local area around us. Like he
Of
mentioned,
a Dogman?
yeah, he mentioned Smithville.
Oh, what?
I think
You don't have to say his name, but do we know this person?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, he said Smithville, Ledbetter, Waldeck area.
Oh my God, that's like
Oh.
right there.
Yeah,
It's like surrounding us. I don't like that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and that's what I told him. I was like, "Damn, we live in the Grange, and I'm surprised I've never heard of it."
Yeah.
A were-dog?
Jesus. Okay, so you had a big old grin on your face whenever you pulled from from Stephen
Because I have
Alexander. Can you
so many accounts of dealing with it.
Oh, okay.
It's deja vu.
Oh.
Okay.
Deja vu.
So,
Okay, so this is going to be enough for you to tell a little bit right now and do a story.
Yeah. So like I've like suffered from deja vu a lot. I do have one story that I'll save
would
for
you
next
say you
episode.
suffer from it though? Like,
Yeah,
does
not
it cause
suffer
you
from it.
harm?
No, it doesn't cause me harm. I guess that's a bad way to put it. But like I do have a story that I'll flesh out
Yeah.
and tell where it was like to the point where I was like saying what people were gonna do.
Ooh.
Like I was able to be like, that thing's gonna do this.
That is terrifying.
and it was weird because it was like I don't know if y'all have ever had deja vu.
Yeah,
Okay,
not that
so-
like extreme.
So like it's kind of like this thing like what science says that it is it's this thing where our brains are registering but not like sending the signals fast enough. So it's like we're kind of seeing in the future because once our brain processes an image, because technically when we see upside down, like and then
Yeah.
it flips and all of that. So what it's
See-
doing is it's not like you think that you're seeing into the future, but really it's just like we're kind of lagging, like we're behind.
Well, see, I don't see it as seeing into the future. I see it as like every time I get a instance of deja vu, it hits me, and I'm like my brain realizes, oh, I've been in this situation
Yeah.
before, and then I don't see, like you said that you saw what came next.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever see what's coming
It's
next.
a feeling. It's
Yeah.
like I've been
Well,
here before.
Well, yeah, it's
That's
like,
what I get.
Yeah, it's your brain
Yeah.
realizing that it's seen this scenario once before.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted
And-
to think is that it's.
And
But
that's-
like when something else happens, that it's also like
Uh-huh.
confirming that you've seen this scenario. It's like you cannot remember that happened, like that next thing happened, but because it happened, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what happened.
you just link it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of like what they're saying, like the feeling of you feeling you've been there before is because you've already seen it technically, but because our brains are trying to process the information and lag, it's like that's why it feels like you've already. That's what science says. That's not what I
Yeah.
think. I think that it's literally like I had deja vu after you got done with your story. Right now. Not that story, but like your story. Like I felt like we had already
Bullshit.
had. I felt like we had already had that conversation, and how both of y'all like moved, like everything.
See, that's the thing though, that like I discount it because we've done this now 10 times.
Yeah,
We can only play out so many scenarios. We have to be
that's
repeating
true.
stuff.
That's true. Yeah, and that could wholeheartedly be what it is.
Yeah.
Now the one that I'm gonna tell next time.
That's the exception.
That's like, as I was doing it and being like, oh, that's gonna happen, I started to freak myself out.
Yeah.
Like I was like, why the fuck am I able to like,
I will say there was one time that I do remember a scenario playing itself out, and that I specifically remember having a dream related to it.
Oh, so you had a whole ass before.
Yeah, like the night before,
Oh,
because
that's
it was kind of played out perfectly because I was trying to explain my dream to a family member, I believe, and as soon as I couldn't remember it like vividly, I remember bits and pieces, and I was explaining it, and then
it started
happening.
Fuck that.
like specific like things. Like I think it was like I remember hearing a train and the train came by.
Yeah.
Which I mean that's cool. Like you could coincidize that, but
at the same time though, for you to say it and then all of a sudden, like you hear that, like that would be like, what the fuck?
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm down for us doing that, and then you're doing the were dog thing.
Yeah,
too.
I'll do
You can
some
do both,
research on
or-
that. Huh?
If you want to do both, you can. If you have like that story, if you want to tell that.
The
story.
Were-Dog, or what it wasn't called Were-Dog, my bad.
Oh, not
It's a
were dog.
Dogman.
Dogman, yeah.
Sorry, I said were dog earlier, and it got stuck in my head.
I'm sure that's going to be a decent, beefy story once.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
I'm sure I could find. I'll probably go back to like BigfootEncounters.com
Oh, yeah.
or something.
Oh, dude.
See what
They
they
probably.
got.
Yeah, that sounded like a very good cryptid website, the Bigfoot
Right.
Encounters one. Like how the information that you pulled for the.
Oh well,
for
that
one
was
episode.
the information for the Skinwalkers
Yeah.
was multiple like Wikipedias and like
Okay.
stuff that I pulled from.
Okay.
The actual story was from Bigfoot Encounters.
Which,
But
by the way, go listen to that
that
episode
was
because
a
that was a good ass
good-ass
episode. I love
episode.
that. I've listened to it twice because I enjoyed it so much.
Before we get too far off the topic of this episode, which is phone calls, do you all have anything? Do y'all have like a weird thing that you picked up the phone, or like you said, you had a phone call from yourself?
Yeah, I had the
Like-
phone call for myself. I did notice that doing research into it, a lot of phone call stories have to deal with the phone box, the phone booths. Have you noticed that?
No.
Like, there was one that, and a lot of them are in the UK. Like,
Mm.
there's the UK, they got a phone call problem, dude. Like, but it's always like phone booths and things like that. And I think those are still in operation now.
I think so, yeah.
But like back in the day, a lot of people, if they heard the phone booth ringing and they were walking by, they would answer it. Like they just like, I don't know if it's just a thing. Like,
Yeah, no.
and there was multiple accounts that kind of like your Reddit thing where it was like the story was just a couple of like a
Yeah.
paragraph long, and it was like, yeah, and they said this, and then it's done, like kind of thing.
I mean, honestly, if there was a public phone, I'd probably answer it.
yeah, same.
But I do. Now that you said, asked us if we had phone call situations, the other night, and this also kind of ties to my question of have you been scared since the last episode? So this isn't really like spooky scary. It's emotionally scary for me.
Okay.
Because I think it was after a game on Tuesday or something, and I got home and my mom's like, someone wants to talk to you. I'm like, who? And she says, your dad.
Oh.
I haven't talked to my dad in like 3 or 4 years.
Oh man, that must have been an emotional roller
that
coaster of that.
scared me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of.
I was gonna say so.
There's a lot of emotional trauma that we can unpack, but we're not gonna do that here.
It's not a spooky scare.
It's not a spooky scare.
Gotcha.
It's an emotional scare.
Listen to a Father off of our album.
Yeah.
That'll be a good way for you to.
But yeah, that was a weird like tie between phone calls and that.
That's crazy, dude. Oh well, if you ever need to talk about that.
Oh yeah, no.
Just saying.
That's what our music's for.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's how I put my feelings out there, is writing dope music for y'all to hear.
The show. All right.
I think we're winding down here. So speaking, while we're on the topic of music too, do we have shows coming up?
Ooh,
we
do.
You're gonna have to tell what it is, because I don't remember.
It's like
I'm trying to see how many days away it is.
So it's a little under the wraps. I wouldn't talk about it too much, but the people at Sound Deep, the people as in Annie,
the people.
She reached out, and we're gonna be playing on a July 9th festival type show. I won't give out too much information, but it's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be
so cool.
It's gonna be a multiple stage festival.
Oh shit! So it's like becoming a big thing.
It is.
Like after
I don't want to give too much up, because it's still it's in its baby stages.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff, but there are sponsors. There is. They want us to sign off on some kind of like a contract to make sure that we have like. They said their words warped-esque.
Yeah.
So they want us to have like
big event.
Yeah, it's good. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not gonna give too much, because she's gonna do her thing. She's gonna work
and
it out.
That's in Midland.
Yeah.
It's gonna be in Midland.
But
cool.
that's a possible show.
Awesome.
If you're in the West Texas area, come
hang out.
Come check us out July 9th.
Bang your head.
But before that, if
That's
you're
my
in,
favorite thing to say on stage is I'll pick out somebody on the stage and bang
your fucking head. Yeah.
I do it every show.
So if you're in our area or the Austin area, we're playing 2 shows at the end of May, the 25th and the 27th.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so come check us out. I think the 25th is at Hole in the Wall, and then the 27th is at Fourth Tap Brewing. We're playing at a brewery.
Wow, how fancy. It's a step up from a pizza.
Basement
of a pizza
Yo,
place.
that pizza place was
pretty
sick.
dope. I was talking
so
about to someone today, actually.
Like that it's closed down now. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
Man.
Outside of Texas.
What is it? JD's Pizza?
JJ's.
JJ's.
J&J's.
Yeah. J&J's.
Well, let's wrap this one up, and let's get to some Spirit Box stuff.
So we were talking about having a closing thing.
Yeah,
so.
we'll dial that in.
Okay, but
what?
Similar. This is if you're done with spooks, you can leave now. So what I was telling him is kind of like the radio, how we have like
leave the podcast. It is if you're watching the stream, stay.
Yeah.
There's more spooks to come.
If you want. So like how we end a radio broadcast is it's like my name's Caleb Chowdhury, joined alongside Josh and Kolby, and on camera tonight, Joe, and back on the board Jane, and for all those involved,
Kevin.
All that stuff. Yeah, Kevin. So like that kind of stuff, we can start doing that. Like where we have because our problem is, we know it as streamers, and I'm sure you would do the same. Probably like ending a radio broadcast is you just want to go on and on and on. It's hard to dial it in.
You wanna show everybody love and make sure everybody feels important.
Yeah.
And
so we'll dial that in. We just want to make it
Yeah.
streamlined for the listener, so it's nice and neat, and you can get everything that you need to hear and nothing else.
Cool thing about this is we're 10 episodes in and we're still growing. We can never stop learning.
There is never going to be a point that I think that we've got it figured out.
Which fucking 10 episodes? Let's go, dude.
I know,
dude. It feels like yesterday we were
headway.
like, "Hey, you want to make a podcast?" We're like, "Yes." Like that's literally how that dude. This is crazy that we're 10 episodes in now, and then hopefully at like 25 we can do it again. At 100, fucking write a book like Scared to Death.
Oh my god.
But all right, guys, let's close.
I'm ready
this
for
out.
some Spirit Box.
Thank you guys so much for listening, for watching, for coming and hanging out during this live stream. We love you so much, and we appreciate you so much. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you're listening, and tell your family, tell your friends, and tell your monsters that are hiding under your bed about Dead Reflections podcast. And we hope you have a super